Hello, everyone. Kind of hard to look at you because of all those slides. So the story goes like this. I met a guy, and this is a real story, with 13 years of experience in the company. And at the same time, in the same team, the team got a new student, a third-year student. And after talking with the team, it turned out that the student is 10 times better than the guy who already works there 13 years, being an engineer. Something really wrong happened. And when I dig it deeper, it turned out that the guy was very, very angry and about all the new technologies. He actually didn't like all the new stuff. And it's kind of a killer feature to not like new stuff when you're an engineer. And another good friend of mine was a brilliant developer, front-end guy, who decided that at some point that he wanted to quit development altogether, even though it's a lot of money, and start making shovels. Why? Because shovels are simple things that he can do, and he doesn't find the development fun anymore. And that was all because of the high pressure and repeating the same work over and over again, although in a different tool. Because if you know the front end, then it's just every second day there's a new framework, but the shit is the same. So these two things bring me to the fact that what they lacked was actually the fun from learning, like all the new kids that are actually playing with the world. And if you can keep that fun and still have a lot of enjoyment for the world and all the things that you learn, then it should work well. And this is why I want to have a constant culture of learning and sharing the knowledge inside the company, so that I don't have this kind of cases anymore. I don't have this kind of cases ever. So the story goes like this. I've joined in 2005 a company here in Warsaw where the manager demanded that every second week we would have a lecture, and you have to give that lecture, all the engineers, right? That lecture would be at 5 p.m. on Thursday, and we would move to a beer later on with the girls from the marketing department, which was very fun. And everyone was very, very happy. You basically had to prepare a lecture every few months, and that could be about anything, as long as it's technical. It could be about a book you read, or about a white paper you read, or about something you learn at work. Doesn't matter, as long as it's interesting for others. And it's not it doesn't also matter when you prepare this lecture. If you can do it in your free time, that's fine. If you want to do it at work, if you do not screw up your project, that's also fine. And everyone was very, very happy. But then, a year later, the manager was gone. He left for greener fields, and with him, so were the lectures. Because while everyone wanted to learn, nobody wanted to teach. In 2008, I've joined another company, which was about 50 people, not a large one, a Java and Oracle or databases software house. And that was located less than 2 kilometers away from the local Java user group, which was very strong, which is still very strong. And the user group had a lot of meetings about the technology and stuff like this. And well, from the company, when I asked about it, it seems that nobody goes there. Nobody goes to conferences, nobody goes to the local technology user group, nobody learns together, right? Why? When I asked why, they told me that, well, there is no exclusive content there. You can read about all of that on the internet, but do you? Do you really read about all of this stuff on the internet? And it turns out most of the people, well, at home, not really, and at work, you're focusing on the stuff that you have to do, you have to finish. And there was even an R&D department in this small company. And that was very funny, because the R&D department was the department that actually produced the research, right? Except they didn't share the research at all. So the R&D department was the research and development, not research and teach department, right? So the knowledge sharing was basically zero. I decided to change it a little bit, just for myself. So I joined the local Java user group. I went to a lot of conferences that year, and I started to. I decided to actually bring back the good idea that I've seen in my previous company, that I'm gonna start lectures and workshops every Friday at 5 p.m. Because if it's at 5 p.m., then either you still have something very important to do to finish before a deployment, although deployments on Friday are a very bad idea, or you're actually already thinking about the weekend. So why not at 5 p.m. on Friday? I gave the first 4 lectures, and I put up a wiki page where it had all the information about how to do it, all the information that the owners of the company were fine with this, and it had a calendar and everything, right? And I started pushing others, because after 4 lectures, I was out of ideas there. And I started pushing others, people that I just saw doing interesting stuff, to show it to other people. And we were doing this for like a half a year, and everybody was happy. But then I started a new sexy project in an interesting technology, and I had no time for workshops at all. So I've stopped actually doing it. And to my surprise, nobody asked a question then, and it was like, okay, it's gone, then it's gone. Maybe I was the only person who was actually enjoying it so much. And nothing happened for half a year. Then another half a year, and the first question appeared: why we have no more workshops like they used to be here, right? What happened to them? And so I answered, well, nothing happened. I'm just not doing it by myself, but if you want to, this is a wiki page, this is all the rules, and the owners are fine with this, so why not? Just start doing this. Just take a date and just send an email to all the people that you're making a workshop. And it started happening again, a little bit by little. First, not every Friday, but occasionally at first. Then it was more regular. But there was a small breakthrough, because somewhere in the minds of those people, there was a need for actually, well, we used to have workshops. Why we don't have them anymore, right? Then I started to write a technical blog. I started talking at conferences and user groups. And we had first people joining us because of those talks and those user groups that were like, okay, this is an interesting thing, this is an interesting person, maybe the company is interesting as well. And they were joining us, and they were young people very hungry for knowledge. Very open, because they started with presence on the conferences and groups, so that it was deep inside their own culture. And then I saw something like a culture clash between the old people and the new people. The old people were all like, why are you even doing this? You should work instead. At that time, you're wasting money, and we are all working on bringing some profits for the company. And the new people were like, if you know something, if you just learned something, why not share it? Why not share it? A developer works in Warsaw for about a year and a half on a single company, then he switches his job, right? But the knowledge you get actually stays with you. So it makes a lot of sense to actually put attention to that, right? And then somewhere between 2011 and 2013, there was another breakthrough, and this is a major one. Now, the owners of the company decided to make it completely transparent. And by that, I mean all the finance, salaries, profits, costs, projects, everything. All the situation of the company was completely transparent to the employees of the company. Now, what happened was that they also created a bonus system, and that bonus system was based on the profits of the company, and also on a few more aspects, and one of them was the diversity of our clients. Because if you are a software house and you have only one client, it's very easy to go out of business. So everybody saw that, and I saw a major breakthrough, because out of a sudden, the people that were opposing me before are now very supportive. They say that, yeah, they're helping me with my talks, with my writings. They're talking positive things about the sharing of the knowledge, because they see that this sharing, this is how we get clients. This is how we get projects. This is basically how we make money. There's a lot of money to be made there by being very visible inside the society and on the conferences. And it went so well at that point, like it was very easy from now on. And it went so well that at some point on the biggest, largest Warsaw Java conference, Confitura, we had 20% of the speakers were coming from our company. So it was quite successful. So then I basically built a branch of a new company, or a new branch of a corporation here in Poland. And I decided to use all the knowledge that I already had. So I started with, actually, because when I joined them, they were all on the holidays. That was some crazy time I think, at the beginning of the year, where everybody's on the holidays. And I was the first one to just sit there and search for information. And the wiki, well, the wiki was chaos. And wiki usually becomes a chaos in a company because nobody cares. Some teams have it well designed, or the information is there, but on a large scale, it's nothing. It's a big ball of mud, a complete mess. So I decided to actually create a page for newcomers because I couldn't find one. And all the knowledge that I got, I would put into this page and link it through this page. And then, when I was hiring other people, I decided to make a rule that you should start with reading these pages, and if you don't find any knowledge there, and you have to ask somebody, then put the knowledge that you've just earned, put it back into the wiki. I also made a zero hidden knowledge policy, which is the policy that you should never store any knowledge only inside your brain. You should always have a backup. Why? Because if you don't, then I will never let you to go for vacations, for example, right? And it's a very simple thing because you just ask people, where's the data there for the project? Where are the passwords, for example? Or if you learn something, you ask them to put it down to the wiki. I also bought books from Amazon for $4,000, and they got all confiscated by the customs because in Poland, if you buy books for $4,000, they think that you're going to sell them over, and nobody reads basically so many books at once, right? So unfortunately, I wasn't able to get them back, but I just started to buy ebooks instead. We already had a culture of one-day hackathon, but not everyone was joining there. So I've decided to use those hackathons to invite people and just make lectures like here. So to use the whole day for learning something every month. And then I've asked people to have the same situation that I had in two companies before, to have a lecture every Friday and to have somebody prepare it. Then I have invited those local user groups, technology user groups, to our office, because those groups usually do not have a place to stay. They have problems with finding a place every single meeting. So I invited them to our office so you could have at 6 p.m. you could have a user group right next to your door. So you don't have to go anywhere, they come over to you. I started sending people to conferences by sending them to places like Barcelona, for example, which is a very sexy place, even if you don't like the conference. I pushed people to speak, write, and so on, and after 1 year, the ball started rolling on its own. I didn't have to do anything anymore. I didn't have to look for the lectures, I didn't have to think about it, I didn't have to do anything. It was already deep inside the culture. People were spreading the knowledge like crazy. Okay? And even the people I never thought are going to talk in public, which are like people with the speech impediments, they started to talk on conferences, which was quite surprising. And they don't have the problems with the speech at that point. So my lesson here is that there are several tricks that you can do. All of them are pushing forward the ball, and things like make people use the wiki and organize this thing, because it's usually a big ball of shit. Make a policy of no knowledge inside your brain alone. 1 hour lectures, and if you push from the management perspective, it really helps. You need a stick and a carrot. If nobody wants to teach, then give them food. Make those meetings during the lunch break, for example, and tell them that you will buy them all lunches as long as they prepare the lecture. And then you have a peer pressure because people are hungry, right? Then push people to give lectures by pointing the aha moments, because there are moments when we are just developing something and somebody comes up with an idea and have a solution for something, and then you say, why don't you write a blog about it? Then invite local technology user groups, because it's very, they don't have a place to stay. Then create a blog, a company-wide blog that is an aggregate of private blogs. Why? Because people will write more if they feel they own it. They don't want to write on a company's blog. On a private blog, they will do it. Get people to conferences. Now, some people will tell you that conferences are not a place where you actually learn, and that's true. You don't learn. You get impregnated with ideas for research for later, okay? You invite passionate people to talk over at your company. Just invite, if you know somebody, just invite them, pay them, give them beer or lunch, wherever. Just bring them over, because passion will spread. Then if you see people burn out, make a switch, give them something completely new, something they are not prepared for, something they have to learn, and then they will regain the passion again. Make technical decisions with explicit reasoning. Put it on wiki. Like, for example, there is an idea of a decision log, that if you are doing the project, make a log of all the decisions being made, the architectural decisions, all the important decisions, so you can learn from that later on. Make a technical retrospectives. We started with having a normal Friday, like the demo, then a normal retrospective, then then we started talking about the stuff that happened in the code. Right now, my team has got about 5 minutes on a real retrospective about the team and what's going on, and then we have about 45 minutes on a technical retrospectives, going and looking through the code and learning and finding out what we have done during this week, only the interesting parts, because it's more interesting than talking about Scrum all the time. If you have a distributed company, make a habit of recording everything on Hangouts. Open source every single piece of code that you can. People work better if they see that they can collaborate on GitHub, if other people can basically see their code. Hold discussions about about white papers and books. Maybe nobody reads a white paper. Read it for them. Just bring it over. Tell them that you want to show something, and let's read together and let's talk about it. There are groups that actually do this kind of thing over every week. And most of all, keep pushing, because culture shift happens if you push long enough. If you don't, and be prepared to not see any outcomes for a year or two. But then it will happen. It will be very, very easy from now on. Thank you.